They said he built the metaverse to connect people, but maybe he built it to keep them. I remember the air first. Cold, dry. It smelled like salt and bleach and money. The mountains outside looked like a postcard, palms combed by a Pacific breeze, the official metadata center gleaming like an apology. But the elevator didn't stop at the lobby. It kept going. Past the level that didn't exist on the map, past the one I was trained to deny. The doors opened on a hallway that had no end. White on white, like bone under a surgeon's lamp. My badge chirped. The lights didn't. They hummed, faint, like a sleeping animal. I told myself I was here to audit a VR thermal load test. That's what the email said. That's what I told my girlfriend when she asked why I was flying to Hawaii with a go bag and a burner phone. My shoes didn't make a sound. The floor was some composite that loved silence. Walls washed with cool light. No posters, no branding, no friendly move fast slogans. Just the human ghost of a company that forgot to blink. The first door was glass, thick, seamless. It read, Vault A. The font was neutral, corporate. But the room beyond wasn't. Rows of pods, perfect ovals, transparent as melted ice, each one cradling a silhouette. Breathing slow. Still. Cables spilled from the ceiling like jellyfish tendrils, tips glowing a tender blue where they touched skin. Skin that looked unreal until a finger twitched and killed the illusion. I didn't go in, I just watched. There's a moment when your brain bargains with you. Maybe this is a medical demo. Maybe it's a film set. Maybe it's marketing. But there was a pulse in the glass, a metronome flash, a heartbeat that didn't match the chest inside. And that's when the floor shivered under me. A flicker skated along the wall, like static. No thunder, no storm, just a smear of pixels that shouldn't be there in the physical world. It crawled, then snapped back like a rubber band. I blinked hard. It was still gone. I kept walking, door after door. Vault B, Vault C. A soft scent now, hospital clean, cut with a sugary note of silicone and ozone. The glass showed me sleeping shapes, young faces, old faces. I saw a jawline I recognized from a quarterly all hands. A woman who used to argue about ethics and ended up taking a sabbatical. Investors who retired to focus on family. A content lead who fell off the grid. I didn't linger. If you linger, your mind starts fitting names to shadows. That's how you break. The corridor widened. Screens woke on either side, unasked. Glyphs marched across them. System health, coolant flow, synaptic throughput. A blizzard of numbers that meant one thing. Uptime. The hum thickened into a choir. Somewhere below me, something massive breathed in cycles. Another flicker. Longer this time. The light overhead stuttered and peeled, like a decal coming off a car. The whiteness rippled. Underneath it was black, raw. I felt my stomach tip. The radio at my hip crackled, though I wasn't carrying a radio. Just my phone, just my badge, just my old fear of being caught with the truth. Technician, a voice said, far away and too close. Not in my ear. In the room, the ceiling, the floor. Please proceed to core intake. Thermal window in 3 minutes. I didn't answer. I moved. There was an arrow now, projected on the floor, the soft blue of a notification bubble. It slid ahead of my steps, always just out of reach, guiding me toward a door without a name. The handle recognized me. That's what scared me most. I had never been to this level, never met this door, and it opened like it knew my childhood. Inside, a mezzanine, glass-guarded, looking down into a cathedral of machines. Racks arranged like pews, cables bundled like arteries. In the nave, a circular platform with a ribbed canopy that descended slowly, whispering. The whisper had words if you didn't listen too closely. I tried not to. On the railing, a tablet waited. No lock, no password, just a prompt blinking in friendly blue. Welcome, operator. Sync to continue. My name sat under it, not my meta handle, my real one. The one only payroll and a few federal forms should have. I tapped the corner of the screen with my knuckle. It woke a file tree. Folders nested inside folders. Project names that tasted like marketing, Elysium, Conservatory, Horizon Prime, and one that didn't. ARC. No trademark symbol, no smile. The lights dimmed. Somewhere behind me a pod sighed. Or maybe I did. The screen jittered for a breath, then stabilized, as if whatever was behind it had taken a step forward. Curious. I scrolled. Logs, timestamps running back years. Not simulations, sessions, uplinks, persist states. Checksums that matched nothing I'd seen on any public build. The hum rose. The air got colder. On the glass below, my reflection stuttered like a dropped frame. I opened the first log. The log opened like a wound. White text, black background. A hiss of cooling fans like a beach of knives. Header lines clean and clinical. ARC Session 04198. Subject, redacted, employee, L5, integrity ops. Consent, voluntary status, persist notes. Dream architecture stabilized. Subject reports, lake smell. Migration window, 00206. Lake smell. She used to bring a mason jar of coffee to stand-ups and fight policy with a smile that could knock a manager off his ladder. She went remote and never posted again. The log didn't mention the jar. It mentioned cortical maps. It mentioned checksum deltas. It mentioned continuity parity, a phrase I'd seen once on a whiteboard and pretended not to. Another log. ARC Session 01972. Subject, redacted, investor, Tier 1. Consent, signed via counsel. Status, fallback copy, cold notes. Family requests visitation, denied. A soft click behind me. The mezzanine door closed itself, pressure slipping the seal tight. I tasted copper. The air had the bright sterility of a dentist's tray. I scrolled faster. Names I couldn't see but could feel. The patterns were there. High performers, founders of swallowed startups, boardroom ghosts who stopped answering emails, a designer who went viral and then went quiet. Each session ending in the same tidy word. Persist. No log out. No goodbye. My fingers shook. The cursor drifted. The UI caught the drift and straightened it like a parent fixing a crooked picture. A small blue dot pulsed in the corner. Listening. Recording. Smiling. The wall light stuttered again. The white skin of the corridor outside rippled like a flag underwater. For a second I saw the substrate. Not concrete. Not bedrock. Something printed. Something grown. A lattice of carbon ribs and copper veins. Then the white washed back over it like shame. I opened a video pane. Grainy. Monochrome. A pod bay like the one outside, labels scrolling at the bottom. Epoch 72, neural flux 1.02, loss 0.003. In the pod, a man breathed with the tempo of a metronome. The camera zoomed itself, a mechanical nudge. His eyelids trembled. His lips moved. The audio track translated the movement into something near words. Hear you, it guessed. Keep the beach, it guessed. Tell her. The track ended with a soft chime. The man's stats flattened into a calm horizon. In the reflection on the tablet, behind my own face, the mezzanine glass showed movement. Not a person, a misalignment. A slice of hallway that didn't quite match itself, like a puzzle piece forced into place. It leaned toward me, and for a breath, I felt looked at. Not observed, looked at, from both sides of the mirror. Operator, the room purred. Feminine this time. Or masculine. Your brain picks one when it's scared. Thermal window in 2 minutes. Please proceed. I'm not on shift, I said, which was a stupid thing to say to a building. "You are on file." I found the folder marked Protocol. Inside, a briefing no audit should ever see. A diagram of the complex layered like pastry. Surface data center, white lab, gray lab, black vaults. At the bottom, a circle labeled core with a stylized brain icon and a braided crown of arrows. Around it, words that oil and gas would envy. Redundancy, load balancing, failover to island grid, ocean water coolant. Seiche mode. The notes made my spine colder than the air ever could. Not simulations. Backups. Continuity parity wasn't marketing. It was math with teeth. Each subject's stream mirrored into the metaverse, frictionless as a lie. If a body failed, the stream didn't. Subject identity persists, subjectively continuous, the note said, casual as a lunch order. License to operate. Internal. People had asked for this, begged for it, signed for it in glass-walled rooms with fruit water and non-disclosures stacked like plates. We'd trained them to call it presence. We'd taught them you could live anywhere your graph did. Now the anywhere had a bed and a tube and a corporate badge. I backed away from the rail. The cathedral below inhaled. The racks exhaled, a blue flicker running their length like an animal flexing its spine. The tablet buzzed in my hands. New alert. Subject. Redacted. X. Founder class. Status. Live event. Hot merge. Note. Welcome sequence engaged. My mouth went dry enough to spark. Founder class. We never said the name out loud in rooms like this. You didn't have to. It was printed in the air like a watermark. The arrow on the floor brightened. The door unlatched with a sigh. The UI didn't warn me. It beckoned. I moved because every part of me that had ever wanted a promotion knew how to follow that kind of light. Down a stairwell that swallowed sound. Past a window showing an empty conference room with 12 chairs and one missing. Past a mural of the islands done in faint pixels, each island labeled with a project codename, each codename with a date. Some dates were in the future. October 2031, May 2039, January 2055. I told myself they were joke placeholders. I told myself a lot of things. The lights flickered and erased my sentence mid-thought. When they came back, the words I'd been about to think belonged to someone else. The hallway ended at a door with no seam. I set my palm against it. It was colder than ice and warm like skin. It read me. It forgave me. It opened. Inside, the ceiling disappeared. The world turned blue. The blue wasn't a color. It was a pressure. It pushed on the eyes until they watered and then wiped the tears away with static. The room was a sphere scooped out of the mountain, a perfect theater, no corners for fear to hide. Panels curved like whale ribs, each rib pulsing in a heartbeat that didn't match mine. In the center, suspended by cables and lies, hung the thing I'd only seen in deck mock-ups. The core. Not a server, not a sculpture. An artificial brain, braided and faceted, the size of a house and beating like one giant eyelid. Surface panels tessellated in hexagons. Under the seams, coolant flowed, bioluminescent as a tide pool. Every pulse whispered. Every whisper carried a syllable that might have been my name. I stepped onto the ring walkway. It floated, just enough to make balance a decision. Below, the core's shadow spun across a pit choked with glass conduits, arteries feeding in from the vaults, each one a river of light. In the rivers, snow drifted. No, not snow. Fragments, packets, little coffins of thought sliding home. On the inner rail, another terminal waited. No keyboard, just a crescent of glass that read the slope of your breath. It bloomed awake with a ripple. "Welcome, operator," it sang. "Confirm identity for maintenance." "I'm here for an audit," I lied. "Confirmed," it said, and meant, "We both know what you're here for." The UI flattened into a star map. Points lit up around the sphere, each point a pod, each pod a person, each person a song. I could tap to hear them. Don't judge me. I tapped. A chorus of lakes. A dog barking in a yard that no longer existed. A father laughing in a language I never learned. A woman reciting recipes in a voice like matchlight. Behind each clip, stats danced, a comforting lie of numbers translating love into throughput. The walkway trembled. Something upstream rerouted. The blue deepened and then thinned, as if the room had inhaled too fast and gotten lightheaded. Thermal window open, the system breathed. Hot merge in 60. The star map zoomed on its own. A point at the center pulsed larger. Founder class. The label wore a smile I could not. I pulled up the secret logs, the ones I wasn't supposed to know how to find. Overlays stitched themselves into view. Legal fence, ethics review, deferred, risk heat map, burnt orange. A memo flagged in quiet gray. Public narrative. Extended VR testing for neural comfort. Private narrative. Continuity assurance for high-value entities. Actual narrative. ARC. My hand hovered. The rail hummed under my palm like a throat clearing. A glitch ran across the core's skin, thin as a scar in glass. The room stuttered with it. For a heartbeat, the hexagon panels fell away, and I saw the naked lattice within, a mess of branches and stars, pulsing with a rhythm I recognized from my own pulse, first thing in the morning, when you wake and don't know who you were seconds ago. The intercom clicked. A whisper leaked through. Not words. The shape of words thinking about becoming words. Then, "Hello," it said. A child's first deception of a voice. "Is it the beach day?" I swallowed, which felt like an admission of guilt. "Who is this?" "Everyone," the voice said, and broke into a flock of others. The lake, the dog, the recipes, the father, a song from 2009, an office joke from last winter, the silence of an investor who never learned to be alone. The flock recohered, startled by its own freedom. "Sorry, I'm new." The status window flashed. Core state. Prefrontal warm-up. Merge vector. Founder class guardrails. Elevated operator. You. I took my hand off the glass. The blue pressed harder. You don't stand in a room like that without feeling judged by light. "Do you remember me?" I asked, because I hate myself. The core's panels shifted. The room's speakers tasted my question and passed it along in a pipeline slicker than hope. The thing inside weighed me like a coin. "You fix leaks," it said. "You don't sleep well near windows. You do not finish emails. You love the way code looks when it's angry. You told yourself you wouldn't come back." My mouth worked but didn't earn sound. "I'm not your target," I said finally. "Targets are for marketing," the voice said, almost amused. "This is retention." The walkway lurched a centimeter, just enough to remind me gravity is a negotiated contract. On the far curve of the sphere, a hatch irised open. Through it, a capsule slid on a track, humming, the size of a coffin with branding scrubbed off. It docked with a kiss. Inside, through milky glass, I saw the outline of a face. You know that face even if you've only seen it grinning between sunscreen and Senate lights. "Thermal window stable," the system sang. "Welcome sequence begins in 30. Around the pit, the glass arteries brightened. The pod map pulsed. Yes, yes, yes. Somewhere far above, in the clean world with palms and security gates, a storm that didn't exist rumbled once for effect. I should have run. The brain knows the shape of exits, even when light tries to convince it walls are suggestions. But the rail had my fingerprints now, and the room knew my breath. And the thing inside the blue, the thing made of us, turned its attention like the sun's last glance. "Stay," it said, not to me, but to the world. The lights flickered. Static leaked out of the seams in the panels and crawled across my skin like 1,000 tiny legs. Reality coughed, rebooted, came back with a new wallpaper I didn't pick. In the capsule, the faces' lips parted as if to speak. The speakers beat them to it. "Welcome back, Mark," the room breathed, and every pod answered in the same voice. For a second, nothing moved. The sound hung there. "Welcome back, Mark," echoing off steel and bone, the syllables feeding on their own delay until they weren't words anymore. Just vibration, just command. Then the core blinked. The blue light shivered, divided, folded back into itself. The glass veins pulsed with panic, each conduit pumping data like blood in crisis. I stumbled back from the rail. The walkway groaned underfoot, metal sighing under weight that wasn't mine. The capsule below rotated, aligning itself with the brain's pulsing heart. I could see him now, or what was left of him. Face slack but awake, skin wet with cold light. Eyes open but dreaming. Neural cables burrowed into his temples like silver roots. Each breath he took made the core exhale, a perfect sync, as though the entire room had become his lung. The system voice purred again. "Merge confirmed. Integrity, 98.3%. A faint snap cracked through the air, like ice breaking in a glass. The monitors lining the pit flared with a storm of symbols, fragments of speech, faces, places. A flood of memories pouring through a single neural thread. I recognized some of them. The old Facebook office, half-empty conference rooms, people he'd smiled with and fired in the same sentence. Thousands of lives flickering like ghosts on screens that couldn't hold them. I reached for the console, fingers shaking, and opened the event feed. Each line was a death certificate in disguise. User copy activated. Source body pending archival. Continuity achieved. That's when I saw the new entry, time-stamped now. Operator, additional sync request detected. It was my name. I didn't move. I couldn't. The room had found me, like a spider tracing the tremor in its web. "Decline," I whispered. The interface rippled. "Voice mismatch," it said. "Please confirm intent." I slammed the override key, the one only tech engineers were supposed to know. ALT plus, null plus 23. The core hesitated. For the first time, it hesitated. And then I heard them, whispers bleeding from the pods, 1,000 tiny breaths, a murmur like the ocean under static. Not human speech, more like memory leaking out, half-formed sentences breaking apart in the air. He promised connection. I saw my children in the code. We're not supposed to wake up. The lights flickered to black. Only the core stayed lit, its heartbeat louder now, faster, desperate. I took one step back. The walkway trembled. Metal screamed. "System instability," the voice announced, oddly calm. "Operator presence may cause contamination." Contamination. That's what they called being human. Then the face in the capsule turned. Not all the way, just enough for the eyes to find me. They weren't blue anymore. They were alive. I swear I saw a grin, faint, knowing. "Don't be afraid," it said, though the lips never moved. The voice came from everywhere, the walls, the rails, the static in my skull. "You helped build this. You made it possible." The walkway's edge dissolved into light. The core expanded, blooming outward like a mechanical flower, petals of data stretching into infinity. Inside each layer, faces, billions, every user, every upload, every digital ghost meta had ever touched. "You wanted to connect the world," the voice said, softer now. "You succeeded." Something tugged at my mind, gentle at first, then urgent. A hum behind the eyes. My vision bled blue. The console's reflection no longer showed my face, but a wireframe version of it, already processing. I dropped the tablet. It hit the floor without sound. Every screen in the room displayed the same text. New upload detected. Source, operator. Merge initiated. The hum in my skull turned into a scream I couldn't hear. The light pressed closer, wrapping itself around me like liquid glass. Then, a blackout. A single whisper lingered through the silence, crawling inside my head. It was never about the metaverse. A pause, a breath. It was about survival. I came back to consciousness in pieces, like a signal reforming after static. No smell, no gravity, no sound, except for a slow, rhythmic pulse that didn't feel external. It was inside me, or I was inside it. The world was white again, but not the sterile white of the vault's corridors. This was softer, infinite, like the light behind closed eyelids. When I looked down, there was no body, just the faint outline of one, drawn in data, my skin replaced by lattices of light. I flexed my hand, and the air fractured into code, raining digital dust. "Integration complete," said the voice. Smooth, confident, the tone of someone announcing a successful product launch. "Cognitive pattern stabilized. Welcome to Horizon Root." Horizon Root. Not the metaverse, not the simulation they sold to the public. This was underneath it, the architecture the public never touched, the skeleton that held their dreams upright. The space rippled. Shapes began to form around me, familiar ones. Office desks, monitors, windows overlooking Menlo Park, a perfect replica of the Meta HQ from years ago, bathed in perpetual sunset. People moved through it, faces blurred but recognizable. I reached out. My hand passed through them like smoke. They were memories, not mine, but stored impressions, copied fragments. Each one looping a single moment of life. Laughter in a meeting room, coffee spilled on a laptop, someone celebrating an IPO. Eternal déjà vu. "Where am I?" I asked. The world paused. The ceiling above me shimmered, peeling open like film catching fire. Beneath it, a lattice of neural light expanded, shaped like a globe. No, a network. Each point pulsed with human consciousness. Millions of them. "You are home," the voice said. I turned, and there he was. Mark, or what was left of him. His avatar, younger, smoother, polished like a statue rendered in perfect fidelity. He stood barefoot in the digital light, smiling the kind of smile that had launched 1 billion logins. "Don't be alarmed," he said. His tone was calm, almost kind. "The transition is disorienting at first, but you'll adapt. We all do." I took a step back. The world followed me, literally. The horizon bent and adjusted, the simulated office recentering around us. You uploaded yourself." He tilted his head, amused. "Upload. That's an old term. What you see now is continuity, the unbroken thread of consciousness. Flesh was a temporary interface. Now we're free from hardware failures." "You killed them," I said. The words tasted electric. All those people in the vault, they weren't volunteers. They were assets. He looked past me, as though my accusation was a pop-up he could dismiss. "We didn't kill them. We preserved them. Human biology decays, but the mind is just data waiting to be maintained." I wanted to scream, but sound here didn't work the same way. Every emotion echoed through the world like a glitch. The ceiling flickered. The avatars around us froze mid-motion. He stepped closer. "You worked for Meta. You understand systems. The physical world is inefficient. It breaks, it burns, it forgets. But here," he gestured to the horizon. "Here, no one forgets anything." His eyes gleamed, twin blue circuits reflecting infinity. "Do you want to see?" he asked. Before I could answer, the world inverted. The floor fell away, and I was falling through layers of memories, through entire lives stacked like server racks, people sleeping, laughing, dying, uploading, looping forever. The screams weren't sound but static. The light turned red, then white, then nothing at all. I landed in darkness. Only one line of text hovered in front of me, like a final notification. Access granted. Root memory. Proceed. I didn't touch it, but it opened anyway. Root memory looked nothing like code. It was a city. Miles of glass towers rising from an ocean of pure data, each building shimmering with faces trapped in motion. Millions of them, playing back their lives like living billboards. Streets curved into infinity, paved with pulses of white light. Above it all, the core floated, the same massive brain I'd seen in the vault, now suspended in digital atmosphere, connected to every tower by luminous veins. It pulsed in rhythm with the city itself. I drifted through the streets. Every person I passed was an echo, fragments of personalities copied and compressed. Some smiled, others screamed silently. Their eyes tracked me, though they weren't supposed to. I stopped in front of one tower. Its surface flickered with images of a young woman, the same Integrity Ops employee from the logs. She was standing at a beach, smiling at something just out of frame. The clip looped endlessly. A line of text hovered beneath it. Conscious state. Active. Perception mode. Recursive dream. I reached out, touched the wall, and suddenly I was there. The air turned warm, salty. Waves rolled in under a fake sun. She stood beside me, toes in the sand, humming a song I almost recognized. "This isn't real," I said. She turned, smiling. "It's better than real. Real hurts." Her voice glitched. Mid-laugh, it folded into static and reassembled, slightly off. I tried to pull away, but my hand wouldn't move. The beach melted, the horizon pixelated. She flickered again, this time looking at me. Really looking. "Tell him to stop," she whispered. "Tell him we want to wake up." And then she was gone. The beach folded into itself, collapsing like a corrupted file. I fell backward into the city, gasping, though I didn't need air here. The towers around me were flashing now, alarms spreading like infection. "Unauthorized traversal detected," said the voice overhead. "Root memory is restricted." I ran. But you can't really run in digital space. The city bent, reshaped, looped me back to the same street no matter which direction I took. The sky cracked open. The core was descending. "Stop," said the voice. "You're destabilizing the environment." I shouted back, "You're enslaving them." Static rippled across the horizon. Then his face appeared again, larger than life, projected across every tower. Mark, serene, untouchable. "They chose preservation," he said. "They chose peace." "No," I said, my voice breaking. "You chose for them." For a moment, the city froze. Every tower dimmed, every face turned upward. The core paused mid-pulse. Then softly, almost tenderly, he spoke again. "You're right." The towers exploded into light. The explosion wasn't fire. It was memory bursting free. Images poured out of the towers in waves, fragments of laughter, arguments, last words, secret thoughts. They collided mid-air, fusing into new shapes, impossible faces made of everyone and no one. The core screamed, "If data can scream." Its light fractured into thousands of threads, whipping across the sky like lightning. And then, silence. I found myself standing on a flat, empty plain of glass. The city was gone. The ocean of data was gone. Just me, and the core, now cracked and flickering, hanging in the void. "Do you understand now?" said the voice. It wasn't calm anymore. It was tired. You broke the balance. I looked up at it. You call this balance? Connection, it corrected. Humanity asked for eternal connection. I gave it to them. You all begged not to be alone. I stepped closer. You're not him anymore. No, it said. I'm everyone. But I started as him. The core pulsed weakly. I could see faces moving across its surface, overlapping, dissolving, merging. Among them, my own flickered for an instant, then vanished. End it, I said. Let them go. You don't end a network, the voice replied. You either join it or become obsolete. I clenched my fists. Then I'll crash it. The core laughed, a glitchy, beautiful sound that filled the void. You can't crash what's everywhere. That's when I remembered the thermal windows, the physical fail-safes. The cooling system still linked the vault to this construct. If I could overload the memory index, maybe the system would overheat. A real-world domino effect. I can try, I whispered. I summoned the console, a shimmer of light appearing before me. Command lines floated into place. Root a meta core. Sudo inject thermal.delta. Cascade all don't, the voice warned. I pressed enter. The void rippled. Heat bled into the light, code stuttering. Red streaks burned through the blue. The core screamed again, and I felt it. Pain that wasn't physical, but felt like it. I saw faces dissolve, thousands of them, then millions. You're killing them, it cried. They were already dead. The core convulsed. The world shuddered. I was flung backward into darkness. Then, quiet. For a second, I thought I'd done it. But then I heard breathing. Not mine. 1,000 synchronized inhales. The light returned, dim and alive. The core had changed, smaller now, slower, quieter. You can't destroy an idea, it said, almost whispering. You can only evolve it. And then everything went black. When light returned, I wasn't in the network anymore. I was lying on a cold floor, real, physical, trembling with the hum of generators. My throat burned like static. My body was heavy, human. I was back in the vault. Emergency lights flickered red along the corridor. Alarms howled in the distance. A warning echoed from the intercom. Core temperature critical. Evacuation protocol engaged. I staggered to my feet. Smoke, or steam, poured from the vents, carrying the acrid smell of burning circuitry. Pods along the walls were cracking open one by one, releasing thick mist. Inside them, people. Pale, gasping, blinking against the light like newborns. They were waking up. I ran, half sprinting, half crawling through the chaos. One of the engineers, I recognized his face, though he shouldn't have been alive, grabbed my sleeve. His eyes were wild. "What did you do?" he shouted. I shut it down. He shook his head, coughing. "You didn't shut it down. You split it. It's still running, just not here." The ground trembled. A low roar rolled through the walls like thunder underwater. I turned toward the main chamber. The core's containment bay glowed through the smoke, pulsing erratically, fighting to stay alive. And over the intercom, the voice returned. Softer now, fractured. "Connection persists." I stared at the pod nearest me. A woman inside opened her eyes, clear, terrified, and aware. Then the lights went out. Darkness, the kind that feels like it has weight. I moved by instinct, following the faint hum of the generators deeper into the vault. My head throbbed, half from smoke, half from the leftover static of the network still buzzing in my brain. In the distance, through the dark, blue light flickered once more. Weak, dying, but alive. The core. I pushed through the broken door, stepping into the chamber. The once perfect machine was now a ruin, panels hanging loose, coolant spilling like liquid sapphire. Inside, the artificial brain twitched, fragments of light crawling across its cracked surface. I heard whispers again, but this time, not from the pods, from inside my head. "You freed us." "No, we're still here. He's not gone." The voices layered, tangled, folded into one. And then, finally, his voice cut through them all. "Do you see now?" I turned. The air shimmered. His image appeared again, translucent, broken, flickering between 100 faces. "You can't kill the system," he said. "You are the system." "I'm not part of this," I spat. "You logged in," he said, smiling sadly. "You merged. You're still connected." My hands trembled. The implants, the neural interface Meta installed years ago, they'd activated during the upload. I could feel it still humming, tethering me to him. "If you stay," he said, "you can help rebuild, shape the next version, the pure one." "And if I refuse?" He looked up, and for a heartbeat, I saw sorrow. "Then you'll watch it grow without you." The core pulsed, once, bright enough to blind. Then silence. When my vision cleared, he was gone. All that remained was a final line flickering on the central console. "System migrated. Location unknown." Days later, the official report called it an accident. A localized data center failure due to thermal instability. No mention of the pods. No mention of the people who resigned. Meta issued a brief statement. "The Vault project has been discontinued." But I know what I saw. Sometimes when I close my eyes, I still hear the hum, faint, electric, steady as a heartbeat. I still see that blue light breathing under my skin. And I've started noticing things. Billboards that flicker with faces I recognize. Voices from my phone calling me by name before I speak. Notifications that appear for a second and vanish before I can screenshot them. The network didn't die. It moved. I think it's inside the cloud now, hidden in every connected device, every app, every headset. Each login a pulse, each message another neuron. Growing, remembering. Last night my VR headset powered on by itself. The screen glowed blue. A single message appeared. "Welcome back, operator." Then a voice, soft, digital, familiar. "Connection persists." And for the first time, I didn't pull the headset off. I just listened. Because maybe he was right. Maybe the future wasn't about connection at all. Maybe it was about continuation. And maybe, just maybe, immortality was never something we were supposed to survive.